The moment the little girl crawled into the safe, she had no idea that the cold metal door behind her was closing like a silent trap, locking her inside inch by inch. Suddenly, everything inside went pitch black. The little girl burst into terrified sobs. Her cries alerted her father. He rushed over in a single stride, his fingers trembling as he entered the password he knew by heart. But the door didn't move at all. He frantically entered it several more times. The safe remained tightly shut and mercilessly silent. In that moment, his heart turned cold. He realized his wife had secretly changed the password without telling him. Inside the safe, their daughter's cries were growing weaker. Panicked, the man quickly called his wife, but the person who answered was the so-called first love he had only heard about. Suppressing his rage, he demanded that his wife get on the phone, but the other person spoke calmly and coldly offered a condition. If he wanted the password, he had to trade it for the results of his active cell research. That was when he realized the two people he loved most, one was trapped in darkness, and the other had already pushed him into a deeper abyss. He had no time to argue with the other man. He shouted for his wife to answer the phone. Thankfully, she had just finished yoga and returned. But after hearing her husband's frantic explanation, there wasn't a trace of worry on her face. Instead, she looked impatient and suspicious. She didn't believe their daughter was trapped at all. She was convinced he made up this absurd story, just to trick her into giving him the new password, so he could steal the money inside the safe. No matter how desperately he screamed and explained, she treated it as a poor performance. With a cold laugh, she hung up and cut off the last line of hope. As their daughter's cries grew faint, his heart felt like it was being sliced apart. He forced himself to stay calm and comfort her, while urgently calling a rescue team. Soon, a professional team arrived at the scene. After a careful inspection, the captain's face grew serious. This was no ordinary safe. It had a special anti-theft system. If they tried to break it open by force and triggered the internal defense mechanism, the consequences would be unimaginable. They could only attempt the most conservative method, but even as sparks flew from the cutting machine, it was powerless against the reinforced material. The blade overheated and began to smoke. Amid the piercing sound of metal grinding, hope slowly turned into cold despair. Every possible way out had been cut off. It seemed only the password could open this deadly prison. With no other choice, the desperate man raised his trembling fingers and prepared to enter his wife's birthday. It was the only answer he could think of. Just as his finger was about to press the final key, the captain suddenly grabbed his hand. He sternly warned him that the system showed only one attempt remaining. If he entered the wrong password, the complex mechanism would fully activate, and the safe would be locked for an entire month. Time was slipping away. The oxygen alarm inside the safe sounded like death knocking at the door. Driven to the edge, he called his wife again, but all he heard was the endless tone of an unanswered call. She was immersed in the calm of her yoga session, completely unaware of her daughter's life hanging by a thread. With no other option, the man rushed to the yoga studio himself, but when he burst inside, he saw the male yoga coach, the same man who had answered the phone earlier.